I work IT support for a medium-sized company. We've always been allowed to have our phones at our desks. Sometimes family emergencies happen. Doctors call back, whatever. As long as we weren't scrolling social media all day, nobody cared. New manager comes in last month, sees one person checking a text and loses it. Sends out an email, effective immediately, no personal phones during work hours. They must be left in your car or locker. This means 9 to 5, no exceptions. Anyone caught with a phone will be written up. Okay, sure, boss. The thing is, our manager works from home 3 days a week. And when server issues pop up after hours or on weekends, guess how he contacts us? That's right, our personal phones. We don't have company phones. Friday afternoon, 4:45 p.m., major server issue. I see it, could fix it in 10 minutes, but my phone is in my car as per policy. I calmly finish my work at 5 Mile and walk out. By the time I get to my car and check my phone at 5:15, I have 17 missed calls and a string of increasingly panicked texts from my manager. The server has been down for 30 minutes. Multiple departments can't do anything. I call him back. Hey, just got to my car and saw your calls. What's up? He's furious, mauling and seething, asking why I didn't answer. I remind him about the no phones policy. He says that's different. This was an emergency. I point out his email said no exceptions, and I was just following policy to avoid a write-up. Monday morning, new email. Personal phones are permitted at desks for emergency purposes. Back to normal then.
Manager told us we had to do the dress code to the letter. So I did. To the letter. I used to work at a company that had a business casual dress code. It was always sort of ambiguous. People wore polo shirts, button-down shirts, blouses, slacks, whatever. No one cared as long as you looked tidy. Then we got a new manager. In his first week, he sends out an all-staff email. From now on, the dress code is to be followed. Verbatim as written in the handbook. No exceptions. All right, I dug out the dusty employee handbook and really read the dress code. It hadn't been updated since the late 90s. It was very specific. Men, dress shirt, tie, slacks, and jacket. Women, knee-length skirt, nylons, blouse, and closed-toe shoes. No polos, no cardigans, no khakis. The next Monday, I showed up in a suit and tie. I hardly ever wear jackets to work, so everyone right away noticed. And then other individuals started reading the handbook too, because after all, the boss read it precisely as written. The office was a time capsule by Wednesday. A co-worker was wearing shoulder pads and nylons in the August heat. Another guy pulled out his wedding gear. Someone even showed up at work with suspenders because the handbook allows it. Half of the staff sweated buckets because we weren't allowed to take our jackets off our bodies when sitting at our desks. HR was not happy, so they got a few complaints of hostile working conditions due to the imposed dress code. 1 week later, we got a new message. Use common sense in following the dress code. Business casual as done before is fine. Polos and khakis were once again in style. And our manager never brought up the handbook again. No problem. Sign this. It seems that you people love my malicious compliance truck stories, all of which are true. And this one will be no different. In this episode, I am driving the twin-stick R model Mack boom truck, the largest in our fleet. This truck was big, heavy, and it had unusually wide turning radius. At that time, I delivered construction materials. While we had residential and commercial materials, I often focused on new construction and commercial sites due to the truck being so large. Every once in a while, I would get a residential delivery. Mostly, these deliveries I could make from the street, without having to pull on the property. This is not one of those stories, so this one day I am told I am doing a residential roofing delivery to the roof of the house. My radar is now on because I am familiar with the roads in that area, and they are. Narrow delivery to the roof means I have to enter the property and get right up to the house. I get loaded and get to the job. As I approach the job site, the road is narrow, barely 20 ft wide. The house is on my left and facing the property. The driveway is on the left. Important in a second. I stop and go find the person in charge.
Scredit Stories 102. Hear new stories uploaded every day on my channel. Don't miss out, so please subscribe my channel.
Boss told me I had to clock out any time I left the till, so I did, every single time. I used to work retail for a manager who thought customer service meant chaining me to the register. One day he tells me I've been leaving the till too often. By too often, he meant grabbing change from the safe, getting a roll of bags, even walking 5 feet to throw out trash. His new rule: if you step away from the register, even for a second, you must clock out. All right, then. Next shift, I took him literally. At 9:10 a.m., a customer drops a jar that smashes near the counter. I clock out. Grab the paper towels. Clean it. Clock back in at 9:16, 9:40, receipt printer jams. Clock out, walk 3 feet to maintenance. Get the roll. Clock back in at 9:47, 10:05, customer wants coins for the parking meter. Clock out, walk to the safe, get change. Clock back in at 10:13, 10:42. I need to grab a bag of quarters for the till. Clock out, 20 steps to the office. Clock back in at 10:50, 11:15. Someone asked me to check if we have larger bags. Clock out, grab them from literally the shelf behind me. Clock back in at 11:18. By the end of the day, my time card showed I'd left work 13 times. It added up to nearly 2 hours of unpaid breaks, all for basic stuff I was supposed to do. Payroll flagged it, HR called me in, and I showed them the email from my boss laying out the rule in black and white. Next thing I know, he's the one being chewed out. The rule vanished overnight, and magically we were trusted to use common sense again.
Scredit Stories 102. Hear new stories uploaded every day on my channel. Don't miss out, so please subscribe my channel.
Years ago, I worked in a meat packing plant as a supervisor. It had its ups and downs, but overall it was good. Until a new production manager was hired. We'll call him Bob. Bob didn't come from the floor or even leadership. He had an engineering background. Whatever, I'll try to keep an open mind. Well, my mind was only open for about 4.5 minutes. First day, first time meeting, he declares he's going to right the ship. Sure thing, boss. Right? That ship that is already sailing in the right direction. He declares that going forward there will be no more OT. He states we are pissing away money with the amount of OT we pay. I asked for clarification. What about vacation coverage, sick calls, etc.? He replies, no OT, no exceptions. Sure thing, boss man. Now I should point out the department is massive. My direct team at that time was 70 people. There were other rooms that other supervisors looked after for a total of 220-ish employees. Now I'm assuming all of you reading this are infinitely smarter than Bob and have figured out that with a team that size, we don't just get one sick call. We average 7 per day. Vacations? 10% of the workforce was our cutoff. Usually we hovered at 12 people a day. Not to mention leaves of absence. People leaving early, etc. So on Friday, I went to Bob one last time. I let him know that we are going to be short 19 people. Next week and ask once more for him to approve. OT, I got a flat no in response. I considered going above him. But I figured letting the guy drown would be better. I didn't ask for OT. Employees were coming up to me, boss, are you sure there's no OT next week? Yes, I'm sure Bob wants it that way. Come next week. 2 production lines aren't running. Bob comes to me upset, demanding to know why 2 of the lines aren't running. Is mechanical downtime? No, Bob, I have no one to run the line. He stammers something about staffing, appropriately and having better planning. I asked you multiple times to approve OT. You said no each time. I was just following your direction. Cue the angry storm off, with him yelling, get some fucking people in here! Anyways, I then have to call people at home and schedule OT for the rest of the week because Bob sunk our ship instead of righting it. Couldn't staff those 2 lines that day. For those wondering, not running those 2 lines that day lost the company $120,000. Dollars. No, I'm not exaggerating. Bob gets a strip torn off him by his boss, a guy I've known at that time for 10 years.
Scredit Stories 102. Hear new stories uploaded every day on my channel. Don't miss out, so please subscribe my channel.
I was working a 1099 position that was bringing in around an extra $3,000 a month. I was able to do this job alongside my full-time job with no issues. I turned in my work on time, I attended all meetings, and even had gotten a great report from one of my clients. My job must have suspected I was doing more than one position, however. They started demanding that I check my email at least once an hour, and even set hours for me as a 1099 worker. I had to report when I was out of office, whether for injury or something else. I pointed out how I was a 1099 contractor, and that none of those things were a contractual obligation. In fact, the entire reason I took on the extra work with this company was the flexibility. They ignored this and continued to push. A few weeks ago, at nearly midnight, I received a termination email. No phone call.